Hi guys, so I waited about a month before showing you this fish tank here, and I wanted to make sure that everything functions well in this tank and the whole setup, the whole system is actually functioning. As you could guess from the title of this video, this is unheated tank. It doesn't have a heater, it doesn't have a filter. I'm not injecting any CO2 in here and I'm not fertilizing it. This tank has two pieces of equipment. It has LED lamp. Actually, there are two LED lamps. These are no brand, cheapest available on the market LED lamps, and it has a wavemaker pump. So it creates some flow on the top of the fish tank. It creates some ripple on the surface, which provides more than enough oxygen to the fish. So let's talk more about the fish and the plants and how the system functions. This is a biotope of Pantanal Wetlands in southern Brazil. So all the fish and all the plants that you see in here are from that biotope. I have here about 8 black neon tetras, about the same number of Ceratophyllum, these red ones here. I also have here 4 bronze cories. They're quite elusive and they get scared really easily, so probably, but I hope we will be able to film them. I also have here 4 Apistogramma borellii in here. Actually, I ordered them and I was hoping that they are decent size, but they came as a fry, basically without any colors on or anything. So they've started growing now, but still they're really tiny. There's no colors on them. So this fish is unheated. It's in one of our rooms, and currently the temperature is at 22 degrees Celsius. Sometimes, especially overnight, it drops to about 20 degrees Celsius, and I know that further on in winter, now it's early November, further on in winter, around January or late December, the temperature in this room will fall down to about 18 degrees Celsius, possibly 17 degrees Celsius. But it's absolutely fine for this fish, because in the wild, in their natural habitats, they live in much colder temperatures. For example, Ceratophyllum, they can live in temperatures close to freezing, as low as 5 degrees Celsius. The same goes for Apistogramma borellii and bronze cories. Black neon tetras are a bit more sensitive to temperature, so they will not handle temperatures below 17 degrees Celsius, but I'm quite sure that the temperatures will not fall below 17 degrees Celsius in here in this room. In terms of plants, here in the center you see this Brazilian moss. It grows on driftwood and it's really lush and it's growing really fast. Over here and over there we've got Hydrocotyle leucochephala, which is also called Brazilian pennywort. It's not a fast grower, but over there it grows much better than over here, although there's more light in here, so apparently it doesn't like too much light. In here we have Myriophullum mattogrosense, this plant over here. It actually grows very well, and this is a cold tolerant plant which comes from Mato Grosso state in Brazil. This is a tropical plant, and it's I think available all over the world, and it's a really nice and beautiful plant. Behind Myriophullum we've got Echinodorus paelifolius. I think you can only see some leaves popping up behind. It's one of those Echinodorus species that can grow in colder waters, and it can actually have its leaves coming out of the water and growing immersed, and currently it's actually started growing really fast recently, and some of its leaves on the surface are already about to come out. For example, over there you can see that there's a broad leaf on the surface. So since we are on the surface now, you can also see here lots of Amazon frogbeet that grows all over the place. And another aquatic plant that we have here is hornwort. It's just a regular hornwort for ponds. It's an extremely fast grower, and it's one of the plants that provides lots of oxygen, and it also helps you to control algae because it consumes lots of nutrients, depriving algae of nutrients. We also have lots of riparian plants here on top, growing with their roots in water. I'll start here. This is a big Monstera that we have here. It has a really large root system. I've added it here about a month ago, and I wasn't quite sure whether it's going to adapt to, because previously it was growing in a pot. I bought it in a pot. It's going to adapt to aquatic life, but it did, and I can see that it's growing, and this is a fresh leaf up there. The rest of the plants here are 3 species of pothos. There are regular pothos, marble pothos, and yellow pothos over here. It doesn't grow as fast as other types of pothos, so it's a bit of a slow grower, but it's still doing fine. Right here on the bottom we have a bit of a slope. It's created using lava rock, so the lava rock is the base of that slope. Then I used some pea gravel, and I covered it with fine river sand. Inside of that slope I have pots, because Myriophullum and Echinodorus are planted in pots, and pots are filled with coconut fiber. Both of these plants are root feeders, so they have quite well developed root systems. That's why they need some nutrition for their roots, and coconut fiber works quite great in terms of providing nutrition for plants that need some food for their roots. The rest of the substrate is fine river sand, occasionally mixed with some pea gravel in here. I also have a bed of leaf litter in here. That's a mixture of oak leaves, magnolia leaves, catappa leaves. You will notice that this tank is not perfect. It has some algae here and there. For example, a lot of bird algae growing in different parts, also here on the pothos roots. Also here on the pothos roots there's quite a bit of bird algae, but it actually looks very harmoniously, and it looks nice and looks very natural. Personally don't mind it, because it adds a bit of this natural look to this tank. This is a 140 liter tank. It's a clear glass tank. It's an open top tank, as you could notice. It has no lid and no rims, so I can fill it up to the top, which I do sometimes. Initially, when I just set up this system, I did quite a bit of water changes on it, so I've changed about 40% twice per week. But now I moved to 130% water change per week, and I'm planning to actually move further on to 130% water change in 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. The reason being is that currently these plants, they need lots of nutrition, they need lots of nutrients. Fish do produce quite a bit of nutrients, because I feed fish quite a lot. I think about 3 times per day. I bought them as juveniles, and they have grown quite a lot over the last months. So they do produce a relatively sufficient amount of nutrition for the plants, but still, because there is a lot of plants and they're growing fast, they need more nutrition. And because I'm not going to fertilize this tank, and I'm not going to use any CO2, so I need this nitrates to accumulate here in order to feed these plants. I know it sounds weird for an aquascaper or for a fish keeper that we actually need nitrates, but we do need these nitrates to feed the plants, and the current fish population does provide enough nutrition for the plants, but possibly it's not going to be sufficient if I do too many water changes. So I'm planning to cut down my water changes regimen in order to accumulate more nitrates for the plants to feed on. Previously, a while ago, I showed you a video of this tank more than a month ago, and it was just a regular tropical community. It had some moss, riparian plants, but no other plants, and population was very different. But the idea behind this project is to create a system that looks as close to nature as possible, that has the same fish and the same plants that coexist in the same biotope, and the system that consumes as little energy as possible and is functionable system that has plants, fish, and doesn't really need any filtration and doesn't really need any heating for this particular fish. So for now this seems to function, and I'm quite happy with this community for now. I will keep you updated on how this setup will develop, what's going to happen in here, whether this whole symbiosis of fish, plants and very low maintenance regimen will actually function. For now, enjoy watching this beautiful picture.